Hey guys, how are you? My name is Pavin. I'm a dentist and I'm also the CEO of Aligner Alchemy Academy. The goal of this webinar is to give you guys the clarity, a plan, and a sense of I know how I'm now going to grow my business and I know exactly the help that I need. And we're going to discuss why the TCO no longer exists in the same way that the term dental nurse does not exist today. Some are called care coordinators. They all have different names. We're going to go through how you can unleash the potential of your team, how to know who the right people are, in what process and what technology you need to take your business to the next level, but most importantly, to give your team the most amazing sort of career that they want in a safe environment where they feel supported and appreciated. So I have been using treatment coordinator since 2005, and I've achieved various things that I'm really proud of and could not have done that without an amazing team, which includes what you may call a treatment coordinator. So let's go through some of this. So when we think about treatment coordinators, the first time I come across this terminology was when I was doing the Larry Rosenthal course, I think around 2003 or 2004. And in essence, you had lots of shy, introvert dentists who were doing NHS type of treatment. And now suddenly they were talking to patients about £20,000 treatments. And what we knew that there was a gap, a confidence or skill set. So a lot of the American coach at the time was saying, let's have treatment coordinators to help cosmetic dentists who are used to selling £2,000 treatment plans to now sell £20,000 or £30,000 treatment plans. And that's where the whole concept started from. A lot of the people who are out there teaching it were part of that period of helping veneer dentists to sell more veneers. And it makes kind of sense, right? That model has now evolved. So I have been using treatment coordinators since that time. And right now I work as an associate and I have a team of 4 people. And we're going to go through whether you consider them to be treatment coordinators or something different. Because one thing that you come to realize is when you want to grow and empower your team, the names and the labels are really important because that helps people to understand what their goals are. Because one of the most important things that we found when it comes to empowering your team is we need to figure out how are we going to, and I use the word up there, gamify, right? How do we make change management within the practice really simple, really easy, really fun? And you don't want people feeling daunted or scared or as if they're going to be blamed, but you want them to feel like they have the support and the training and the resources so that they feel comfortable doing their job. And what we're finding is practices who are doing this really, really well are really unleashing the talent within their team. So we always start off with people, processes, and technology. And what happens often in dentistry is people say, let me get the technology. So let me get a really expensive CRM system or something. And I hope that by outsourcing and abdicating responsibility to a piece of tech, I'm going to get the results I want. And it never works out that way, right? So it's all about the people, the right training, the right processes. And right now, the big conversation is, do we promote and look for people within the practice, or do we recruit them? And that's something we will go through a lot in a lot more detail later on. And then it's about what we call playbooking, right? So when we talk about processes, it's a bit like if you wanted, if you were to come to me with a Subway franchise, knowing that I'm not a baker, I would have challenges. But if the whole thing is playbooked and made really simple, I know how much I need to add, when to put it in the oven. If I know exactly what to do and it's simple and I feel confident, it's going to be really easy. And this is something that we as dentists don't do. We don't make the processes simple and easy. From the outset, our team really don't know what the goals are, what their KPIs are, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, how to measure it, how to hold accountability. And then, just imagine yourself going onto a course and not having a clue what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Of course, you're going to be petrified and terrified. And that's exactly how perhaps some of your team members feel. So that's why we really love this idea of what we call gamifying it. We're going to play a game. We're going to have the right people, the right process, the right technology, and we're going to make this a lot of fun, take all the stress and everything out, just really have a great time with it. So I really believe that this idea of a TCO is dead, because if the TCO is meant to be a person who helps a dentist to sell cosmetic dentistry, we're at a point where that doesn't really exist, because the world in 20 years has moved on. So perhaps the name should as well. So I apologize for having my big fat face in the middle of the screen where you can't read all the text. My apologies. So what we've come to realize is that at the practice where I work, and when I look at my clients, either on the marketing side or on the diploma side, we know what happens in approximately 120 practices. So we have more knowledge about UK dentistry than anybody else right now in the UK, because that happens to be my job. And we've split people up to what are called client experience managers. And you can see how that feels very different to the word TCO, right? And their job is to engage inactive patients. So we had one lady who was trained up. There's a big database of people. Her job was to activate someone who's not been to practice the last 2 years, who previously was regular, boom, 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 boom. We got the right person, we put the processes in, we explained what they were doing, why they were doing it, who to target, how to target them, what they were going to do. And now suddenly that practice is now making an extra £20,000 a month just because they were able to activate inactive patients. And if we think about it, why are we chasing patients through marketing when we already have patients who've been to us and for some reason they just fell off the wagon? That's the low-hanging fruit. Or they're there to nurture new patient inquiries. So if we think about it, we're looking for a certain skill set for a client experience manager. Now, these skill sets perhaps are not going to be inherent towards an S-person type of nurse. So that's why we don't like the word TCO, because it boxes people into things and limits what they can do. So the first role that we have at the practice where I work, where my clients are now embracing, is this idea of a client experience manager. Their job really is to get bums on seats. The second person is there to blow that bum on that seat when they turn up, right? So that's called a patient journey ambassador. And you can put other words to this. But what you realize is this person is there to make sure that whilst that patient that they've either that's been nurtured or has come through an inactive list is absolutely blown away by the service, everything is very memorable, and it's their job to sort of, cement and glue everything together. And the third person is called a patient concierge. So apologies again for my big fat face being there. But once someone has started treatment, how do we ensure a 5-star service? Their key metrics are based upon the number of referrals, because it's their job to oversee the operative or the clinical part of the journey. Now try to break this down a bit, right? Because what we're now seeing is we're now getting a clue as to why top practices are winning, because they're moving away from one person who's a TCO, and they realize that there are nuances to the game, right? The word TCO is like putting an A3 shade on all the teeth and only having one shade of composite. In today's world, we think that was crazy, right? We know we need enamel shades, dentine shades. We need loads of things that we need. And that's exactly the same. That's what's happening in this area. And I'm really excited to share this, because everyone else is talking about what used to work 20 years ago. Let's talk about what's working right now, right, guys? So we have the client experience model. The first thing you need to be really clear on is this someone who is on-site or remote? I have a lot of clients right now who are doing really, really well, who are saying, actually, this can be done remotely because we are cloud-based. So to have someone in a part of the country. So recently someone took someone on for, minimum wage, and then this person was in Wales. The person in Wales was really grateful for the opportunity to have a job and a bonus system. They're smashing their bonus. As a result, that they're saying, I'm the best paid person in my town. What an amazing gift, right? What an amazing gift. So firstly, be clear on a client experience manager whose job it is to get bums on seats, either through activation of old patients or through focusing on consumers. Is this someone that I'm going to promote through the ranks, or am I going to look remotely and put jobs on Indeed and different platforms? What we're understanding is when you write this job description, it needs to be a very growth-based job ad copy. Second thing is to figure out, are we going to focus on consumers because we have a large number of people on our Instagram or a large number of people who are messaging us, and we need to literally say for every 100 DMs we go on Instagram, we need 50 in the chair? Or is this someone that's going to focus on an inactive list of patients that have not been in for some time? Or are they doing both? If they're doing both, you need to have the clarity of how to structure the processes so they're really clear on every hour what they should be doing, how we measure it, how we track it, have the scripts ready, have everything ready, and then the training done. And then only will they be able to go out, right? And then we're going to sort of figure out how we're going to gamify the lead generation strategies, right? What are we going to do to grow, but to make things really fun, really light, really easy, and for this person to understand that they're going to be rewarded really well for performance. If they don't meet our benchmarks, then they're probably going to have to move on. But if they're hitting the benchmarks and not getting the results, then that's our fault, right? Because that means we probably didn't set up the system properly, the scripts, etc., etc., etc. And now we see why some practices are just booming right now, because they've got this one bit landed. And I hope the penny's dropping. You can't have one person do everything, because if you just had one person doing this, right, imagine in your head right now how much money you can make. Can you see right now why there are dentists out there making an extra 15,000, 20,000 pounds a month just because they've landed this one bit, right? And then we get to the second concept, TCO, which is the patient journey ambassador. And their job is to make things really slick, really memorable, because what they understand inherently is everyone is scared of the dentist. When you come in, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're worried, all kinds of things start to come up. And their job is to say, hey, I get that, but I'm going to be like a cheerleader. Give me an A, give me a B, give me a C. Obviously, I'm not a cheerleader, but you get the idea. And their job really is to say, I'm going to be the one that you see as soon as you come to the door. When you come in, I'm going to be doing social media stuff with you. And they're going to set the culture that we are a socially media-based practice. And, you know, let's get some selfies. Let's do something. When that patient leaves that room, on the basis that the dentist has done an amazing job and the dentist has asked for a commitment and the patient has said yes, what's left? So we call it brokerage, right? Brokerage is what happens when you buy a house. So the dentist is the estate agent. Their job is to say, look, this is a beautiful house. Would you like to buy it? And then you say, yes, I want to buy it. So then you have to see a broker to figure out your finances and your logistics. That's what the patient journey ambassador is. They are a broker. It's their job to make sure that the treatment is affordable, it's explained. It's their job to explain the timescales, the time frames, book the appointments, and do everything. And then they're the ones that do the follow-up. So the follow-up means that if the patient says, yes, I want to make a commitment, I don't have my diary on me, then yes, I'm going to follow up with you. And then can we now see that this in itself, it requires a lot of processes, planning, structure, systems, follow-ups, daily, weekly, monthly checklists to keep on top of everything. But I hope everyone can now see why, when you have someone who is scripted and knows what they're doing, this is so powerful at converting and getting commitments. How much more money are you going to make when you absolutely land this, right? And then we get to the last bit, which is probably the most important bit, right? Which is the patient concierge. So their job is to ensure a 5-star VIP treatment. because, you know, having the chats, having all the nice bits done is one thing, but the reality of having to turn up and have a dentist sort of numb you in your mouth and stab you with something, scary as hell. So their job is to make sure the whole thing goes really, really slick and really easy. So for argument's sake, if it's an Invisalign concierge, at the end of the fit, their job is to make sure that the videos go out, the emails go out, how to use Chewies, how to clean, how to do this, how to do this. They make the follow-up call. You know, yesterday you had your Invisalign fit, they're just checking in to see how things are going, etc., etc. And now you can now see that, you know, an implant concierge, having someone reach out to talk about what meds to take before surgery, you know, someone going to come pick you up, make sure you have your glucose, if you're having IV sedation. And what we understand is that we can create contact points that absolutely blow the patient away. And part of the goal is to build as much value as we can.
Hey Zoe, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Right, how's your day today?
Really good, positive.
Good. So the last time we met, I said something, and what did I do to you?
Made me cry.
And you let me back near you again?
Yeah. You said just about.
So this morning you said you were really confident, you'd practice scanning, photographing. Did I still lay into you or did I let you be?
No, you laid into me.
Good. So what did you learn today, and what was the value of what we were doing today?
So I learned that it's important to build rapport with the patient and to educate them on Invisalign. I learned how to talk them through their scan, their outcome simulation.
All right, hang on, all right, on that. So most nurses are like, I'm not a dentist. How am I going to do that? So how are you able to talk to people about how their teeth affect their gums or their bite or something? Is it easy, or do you have to be a dentist to do it?
No, you definitely don't have to be a dentist to do it. I tell them what I see when scanning, and I talk to them about the problem, the consequence if we don't solve the problem or do anything about the problem, and the solution for the problem.
I love you, because you get a gold star now. So what you're saying is, when you see someone with a problem, you articulate what the problem is, you educate and help them understand it. You're then, from the iTero scan, explaining the consequences of not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then you're explaining how Invisalign is providing the solution, so that by moving their teeth it improves their health. Is that what you're saying, using big flash dental words?
Yes.
And you did that today?
Yes.
Did you feel out of your depth?
No.
Right, most important question. Did the patient appreciate it, think, wow, that was amazing? Or were they like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, they appreciated it.
So that means you've engaged and educated that person, which is insane. What was the most important thing you found for people to say yes today?
We have to gain commitment from them.
How did you feel asking for commitments and asking people to go ahead?
So at first it was not that comfortable, but then I realised the importance of it, and then you can tell then how interested they actually are in Invisalign, and then how serious.
All right, so now back to the chat we all had, where everyone accused me of being pushy, and I'm straight talking. Is asking for a commitment being pushy and aggressive salesman, or is it just being straightforward and saying what we're doing?
It's just being straightforward and upfront.
And when we were more straightforward, what happened in the afternoon?
More people had their deposits.
Simples.
Signed up. Yeah.
Zoe, I'm so proud of you. You're amazing.
Thanks.
And in a nutshell, this blueprint here is exactly how you can do this. So what if you already had the team that could take you to the next level? What if these 3 different roles that need fulfilling already exist? How much more money are you going to make? How much more fun are the team going to make? How many more lives and smiles are you going to convert? Because at the end, what I can say to you 100% is I have 1 clinical nurse, I have someone that does the bit at the beginning to get the bums on seats. I have one person that make sure that the journey is absolutely amazing. The third person is my DM concierge. The fourth person is my Invisalign concierge. But what we found is that by delegating very specific roles, functions, KPIs, metrics to each person, we have now empowered them. And that's what you see on the top left, right? The goal to doing this is to empower, educate, and engage your team. And at some point, as with myself, one nurse will get pregnant and move to a different part of the country. Another nurse will get married and move to a different part. I keep using the word nurses, for which I should apologize. But you get the tip, you get the gist. I've got 4 people that I need to allow me to become one of the top Invisalign providers in the UK. And I need an industrial recruitment process. So guess what? Every month we have ads that are always running in the background. We are always interviewing and recruiting. Because this means we're not in scarcity, right? It means that if one of the girls, for whatever reason, is unable to perform, then we know there's always a backup. And from their point, they know that if they're unable to perform, then they don't need to punish themselves and keep going on, because there's someone who can step in and perform that function. And that is the clue to how you play the game. It's through industrializing your recruitment, by empowering, educating, and engaging your teams so they absolutely love this. And you shouldn't be surprised if some of the teams that we coach and mentor, their team members are taking on £40,000-50,000 in total with a base salary and bonuses. Because you can imagine, if you're paying someone, let's say £30,000 a year in bonuses, imagine how much extra profit is coming into the business to afford that. And that's why this is such an amazing opportunity, because it starts with the right people. Put the right people in the right processes. The right people in the right processes, where the process is very simple, it's very easy, it's been playbooked. Playbooked means you've given them something, just like Subway would give me, that gives them the confidence that it's going to be easy for them to do this. That you're very clear and concise on what they're doing, how they're doing it, what their hourly activity should be, how you're going to measure that, and how you're going to benchmark that, and how you're going to reward them. And then at some point you're going to get to a point of overwhelm, which is there's too many things to manage. It was a bit like when we all started having to implement CQC stuff. We needed checklists and technology, something to take the stress away. And that's where technology comes in. And we can go through really easy things, because in today's world, there are free CRMs where you can pay someone £5 an hour who's based in the Philippines or Indonesia or somewhere, who can customize this for you. So it's really easy to customize and bespoke free apps and technology for you to get exactly what you want. I'm sure you can now see why all the top practices are absolutely embracing this idea, and they're saying we can see 100% why this old idea of the TCO is dead. So if you would like to learn more about how this works, what I'd encourage you to do is to book a chat, because we run the #1 coaching program for dentists in the UK. And this program is absolutely prolific for dentists out there who do loads and loads and loads of aligners. And now, having seen why the TCO is dead, understanding the 3 new roles that exist, they can see 100% why it's going to be so easy to take the team to the next level. So what I would say to everyone right now is the time to build your business. Now is the time to grow. Now is the time to scale. And right now, we've got an amazing opportunity to get 30 minutes of free consultation with myself on how to win at the game. I'll be going through tips, tricks. I'll be answering any questions you have on how to empower your team. Because ultimately, let's be really honest, right? There's a lovely saying on the top left over there, which is everybody has the knowledge to know what to do. It's knowledge and action that give you empowerment. My goal today is to say, let me empower you and help you to get to the next level for free. And the amazing thing is, we're just going to have a chat and I'm going to give you so much value. It's going to be unreal. So there is a link on the side. All you need to do is click it. So, right, we're happy to take some questions now. So do we have any questions? Jade, what's your question? Is this a free chat? Yes, absolutely. You know, if you were to go to another top coach and say, how much is half an hour consulting? I think they normally say £400, right? So literally, this is a £400 gift, Jade. Click it, and they're limited places. So make sure you get it before it's gone. Mo, what's your question? Why do I say the TCO is dead? Great question. So I'm not saying someone's gone out and killed and assassinated them, right? But what we're saying is that in the same way, I don't call my nurse, but she's the care coordinator. We're now giving different labels within dentistry because a label empowers you. So when I went from Bav to a father, that label father inherently meant something, and it meant I had to step up and do something. And what we're finding is when you give your team unique labels of empowerment, they take ownership, accountability, responsibility, and suddenly you see someone and you think, wow, how comes I didn't see that greatness and ability within you? And it's just because you didn't offer them that opportunity. Who's next? Jack. What's your question there, Jack? Can I, as an associate, do it? Absolutely, Jack. What an absolutely great question. So I myself am an associate. I don't have sort of a huge, I don't have an Instagram following. I work at an NHS mixed practice inside a house in East London. And if I've been able to do it, if other associates are doing it, there's no reason why you can't. Because ultimately, everyone in your practice who is growth based, who wants a better future, who is now frustrated with their job in some way, is looking for something. And if you can be the light, Jack, that gives that to them. If you can be the light that helps them to get amazing bonuses and transform smiles. What an amazing gift, Jack, right? Oh, you've booked your chat. Really love that, right? One last question. Sanj, what's your question, mate? Please, can you explain about the technology? Great question. So, change management within a practice is about people. But Sandy's saying, I've got the right people. Processes. Do not invest in any technology until you know the process. The process has to be in place. Because once you have the processes in place, it's really easy for you to use, let's say, Monday, Pipedrive, or another CRM system that is more or less free or cost peanuts. And then using websites like Upwork, Fiverr to find freelancers to do a project and say, look, here is my structure and system on a spreadsheet. I now need you to automate that within this. And then for them, it's really easy because the challenge always is when you have complicated CRM technologies, the architecture and the design is really, really complicated unless the person doing it knows what they want and what you want. Whereas if at the beginning your processes are really clear, you've got really clearly defined flow charts, permutations, etc., if you're able to give a map or a roadmap to one of these coding or designing type persons, for them to then put that code into something and to give you a CRM fit for purpose is absolutely a walk in the park. Because if you don't do it that way, what's going to happen is you're going to have to go through a consultative process, speak to someone, they'll charge you £1,000 just to map it all out. And you're like, I could have done that myself in half an hour. So brilliant, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you've received a huge amount of wealth from this. My name is Bhavin. As I said, I'm the #1 growth coach in the UK within the aligner field. We have over 120 people that we know are using our models and they're winning. Their practices are booming. You've probably seen them on Instagram and social media. These are the people who are diamond providers, apex providers, elite providers. And we're now really excited to share these secrets with you all. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.